Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the lush green hills of Adazi, there lived a young woman named Chika. Though beautiful and lively, Chika had a reputation around the village for being quite grumpy and shooing away any children who dared to come near her hut. You see, Chika had just finished plastering a new smooth mud floor in her hut, and she was quite proud of her handwork. The last thing she wanted was a bunch of dirty little feet tracking mud all over her pristine floors, or little hands leaving tiny handprints on her newly plastered walls. So whenever Chika heard the pitter-patter of small feet approaching, or the giggles of little voices drifting through her window, she would storm outside waving her arms frantically, yelling at the top of her lungs for the kids to go away. "My floors are freshly plastered. You can't come in," she screamed. "Go play somewhere else before I get my broom." The children would shriek and go scrambling away as fast as their little legs could carry them. Chika would then let out a huff of satisfaction and marched back inside, relieved she had protected her floors once again. This went on for years. If Chika so much as spotted a child wandering near her hut, she would drop whatever she was doing and chase them off. "Shoo! Get away from here!" she would yell, not caring if they were just passing by on their way somewhere else. She even went so far as to chase children who were playing out in the grassy fields, far from her hut. If their laughter drifted over on the wind, Chika would come storming out, face red with anger, and order them to go play somewhere else. The other villagers started to frown upon Chika's behavior. "Have some pity on the poor children," they would scold. But Chika didn't care. All she cared about was keeping his pristine floors clean and mud-free. One day, a torrential rainstorm swept through the village. Fat raindrops pelted down in sheets, turning the dirt roads of the village into muddy rivers. All the villagers scrambled indoors, shutting their windows against the storm. All except Chika, that is, when she spotted a few village children giggling and dancing in the downpour, she marched right out into the storm and started yelling at them to go away. "Just look at you," she shouted over the din of the rainfall. "You are covered in mud. Don't you dare come near my hut." The children were stunned. Usually Chika chased them away long before they got this muddy. But here she was, standing in the middle of the rainstorm, seemingly oblivious to the water pouring down on her own body. All that mattered to Chika was keeping those muddy little feet away from her floors. The children ran away, and Chika stormed back inside, leaving a trail of wet footprints across her previously spotless floor. Years went by, and Chika remained single. She was considered the village beauty, with her smooth ebony skin, fiery eyes, and slender frame. Many young men came calling to her hut, hoping to make her their wife. But Chika turned them all away. "I have no time for a husband," she would declare. "I must keep my floors clean." So Chika remained alone in her hut, kept company only by her precious well-plastered mud floors. Then one day, a strapping young hunter named Ike came to the village from a faraway town. The first time he saw Chika fetching water from the river, he was utterly smitten by her beauty. He went to her hut that very afternoon and introduced himself. Unlike the other suitors, Ike refused to be deterred by Chika's grumpiness and obsession with her flaws. Each day he returned to her hut, bearing gifts of fish he had caught and crops he had grown. No matter how much Chika yelled at him to leave and stop dating her doorway, Ike kept coming back. Gradually, Chika's heart softened. Ike's handsomeness, charm, and persistence wore her down. Within a few months, she accepted his proposal of marriage. On their wedding day, the entire village turned out to celebrate, overjoyed that even sore old Chika could find love. After the ceremony, Ike moved into Chika's hut. He took over the household duties, so she no longer had to labor away, plastering floors and hauling water. At first, Chika enjoyed being a newlywed. She glowed with happiness at having such a kind, thoughtful husband. But as the months went on, her smile began to fade. She became moody and withdrawn. Ike gently asked her what was wrong. That's when Chika broke down and admitted the truth. She thought perhaps something was wrong with her. For though she and Ike had been married nearly a year, Chika had not become pregnant. Ike held her close and assured her it just had not been their time yet. But Chika could not shake the feeling that she was being punished. Another year passed, and still Chika's womb remained empty. Distraught, she decided to visit the village elder and seer, Mazi Okoro. Surely the wise man will know why the gods have not blessed her with a child yet. The morning Chika set out to see Mazi Okoro, the sun beamed brightly in a clear blue sky, but her steps felt heavy and clouded with gloom. She dreaded what terrible news he might give her. Upon reaching the seer's hut, she announced herself softly. Moments later, Mazi Okoro himself emerged, leaning heavily on a twisted wooden staff. Though advanced in years, his eyes were bright and alert. He invited Chika into his cool, dimly lit hut. She sat on a low stool across from him, twisting her hands in her lap nervously. In a creaky voice, Mazi Okoro confirmed he had been expecting her. He proceeded to light some herbs in an etched clay bowl, chanting prayers to the gods and ancestors. Thick fragrant smoke swirled through the room. Chika held her breath anxiously awaiting his proclamation. Finally, Mazi Okoro closed his eyes and announced he had consulted the spirits and knew the cause of her infertility. Many years ago, Chika had shooed village children away from her home with great cruelty and lack of pity. She had shown no care for the little ones. Now the spirits of those children were taking revenge by cursing her womb. Chika let out a cry and buried her face in her hands. She knew the seer spoke the truth. For so many years she had cared about nothing but her stupid flaws. She had been needlessly cruel to innocent children, even chasing them in the rain. Hot tears spilled down her cheeks. She knew she deserved this punishment for her self-centeredness. Not once had she thought about the feelings of the children she chased away like animals. Mazi Okoro let her weep for a few minutes before clearing his throat. "There is but one way the curse may be reversed," he said. Chika looked up desperately. "I will do anything," she cried. The seer nodded. "To appease the spirits of the children, you must host a magnificent feast in your village. It will be a feast just for the little ones. You will invite all to come eat, drink, sing, and dance in your home to their heart's content. If they muddy your floors, you must not utter a word of protest. Only then will the spirits forgive you." Wiping her eyes, Chika solemnly nodded. It would not be easy to see her floors dirtied and her food gobbled up, but she would do it if it meant the curse would be lifted so she could finally have a child. Over the next few days, Chika prepared for the feast along with Ike's help. They gathered pots and cooked up huge vats of goat meat stew, fried yams, and palm nut soup. They roasted corn and plantains over open fires, and they brewed large quantities of kunu, a refreshing beverage made from millet grain. The day before the feast, Chika scrubbed the floors until they practically glowed. This would likely be the last time they were so pristine. The morning of the feast, Chika was up before the sun. A feeling of excited anticipation warmed her heart for the first time in ages. She arranged low tables around her sitting room and carried out all the food. Ike showed up just before the appointed start time. "Are you ready, my love?" he asked, smiling. Chika nodded, for once not caring about the trace of death the village children would no doubt leave behind. Right on time, the kids of the village began arriving. Their grins grew wide at the sight of the delicious spread before them. Soon, Chika's hut was packed with shrieking, giggling, children stuffing their face happily. Chika welcomed them all, even the muddiest ones. She made sure every child had a full plate and cup. It didn't matter that they spilled on her floor or tracked in dirt or left greasy handprints on her wall. For the first time in her life, Chika felt pure joy watching the children delight over the feast. Seeing their little faces glowing with happiness as they danced and played warmed her heart like nothing ever had. By the time the last tired child waved goodbye at sunset, Chika's floors were barely visible beneath all the dirt, scraps and stains. But Chika did not mind one bit. She and Ike simply swept and scrubbed alongside each other late into the night. Over the following weeks, the couple waited anxiously to see if the spirit had accepted Chika's offering of atonement. And finally, their patience was rewarded. One morning, Chika awoke feeling different somehow. Her monthly bleeding was late. She just knew in her heart she was with child. It was one of the happiest days of Chika's life when the village midwife confirmed she was indeed expecting a baby. She flew into Ike's arms, both of them shedding tears of joy. Throughout the months of pregnancy, Chika rubbed her swelling belly and prayed for a healthy child. The kicking movements inside filled her with awe and excitement. When the big day finally arrived, Chika labored through an agonizing but exhilarating 12 hours before giving birth to a perfectly formed baby girl. As Chika held her precious daughter to her breast for the first time, she whispered, "Thank you for forgiving me. I vow to be kind and selfless like you from now on." She and Ike named their daughter Amaka, which means beautiful one in their language. Little Amaka was soon joined by 3 boisterous brothers. Chika's heart swelled bigger than she thought possible. She felt incredibly blessed and grateful to the spirits for allowing her this second chance. Never again did she yell at village children or chase them from her home. Rather, she welcomed them with open arms and pots full of the tastiest stews. Her floors may have never been quite as spotless again, but Chika's joy was fuller than it had ever been.